When you don't have your main Democrats out there saying this is too far, this is a bridge too far, we got a distance, then you know that something is deeply and disturbingly wrong here.
Why are you going to continue to vote for your own suffering? It seems really weird.
I'm sorry, it's hard to come to any other conclusion other than this. There is a disturbingly large segment of the Democrat leftist base that wants us dead.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Our small businesses suffer when our residents and visitors who are shopping and eating are made to feel unsafe by the jackbooted thugs roaming around a peaceful downtown.
The right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War. I want that to sit in right now, because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America.
Stop falling for the okie doke. Stop believing the lies that they are putting out there and the terrible racist tropes that they are constantly using to rile people up. It is time to recognize that while you thought the enemy was the immigrant, or you thought the enemy was the trans person, or you thought that the enemy was the black folk, or you thought the enemy were the women, when the reality is that the only person that is harming you right now, it is the old white Nepo baby that is sitting in the White House that is causing all the destruction, pain, and problems that you are enduring.
Chaos in Chicago, anarchy in Portland, federal agents rammed with vehicles and assaulted in the streets. In Virginia, a Democratic Attorney General candidate openly fantasized in graphic detail about his Republican opponent, yet to this day he hasn't lost a single major endorsement from his party. Then we go to the would-be assassin who plotted to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Well, he received a shockingly lenient sentence, and even worse, the leftist judge handling the case cited the perpetrator's transgender identity as a mitigating factor and openly celebrated that the plot and its aftermath helped his family accept his identity. 2 weeks ago, a radical anti-ICE extremist opened fire at a Dallas facility, missing his target but killing 2 detainees. And a couple weeks before that, one of the most prominent conservative voices in America, Charlie Kirk, was executed mid-speech, microphone in hand, while peacefully engaging the other side on a Utah college campus. And yet Democrats insist loudly and self-righteously that they hold the moral high ground. I don't think so. They didn't stop after President Trump was nearly assassinated twice. They didn't stop after Charlie Kirk was. They haven't stopped targeting, hunting ICE agents for simply doing their jobs. This is sick. It's a sickness. And now, when our president steps in to support federal agents in Portland, deploying National Guard reinforcements needed to potentially save lives, yet another leftist activist judge blocks the effort. And for what? I'm sorry, it's hard to come to any other conclusion other than this. There is a disturbingly large segment of the Democrat leftist base that wants us dead. Joining me now is citizen journalist Nick Sortor. Nick, I know that you've been in the middle of all of this. We obviously have seen what's happened to you over the last week. Can you give me a sense of what things are like on the ground as we speak?
Well, I'll tell you in real time exactly as it is. The reason that I am now doing this from inside is because I was setting up to do it outside, and I ended up being surrounded and harassed. Again, that's just typically how it goes out here. These people are, the correct definition is terrorists. I mean, they are trying to terrorize, especially conservatives, right? Conservatives that are outing them and showing what they're actually doing. Like, this is an anarchist group, one that is basically trying to not just not just terrorize us, but also take over like the Portland government. They've done a great job at totally cucking the police department out here, who basically just does the bidding for Antifa at this point. It's really wild, but it's what I can say on a good note anyway is the amount of patriots that since my arrest have been coming out here every single night chanting USA, USA, drowning out the leftist rioters that are out in the streets. It's incredible to watch. It really warms your heart. And it's great for the morale of the ICE guys that are coming out and stuff is being thrown at them. I mean, there's been urine the other night that was sprayed at them. I mean, these guys have been through hell. And all these patriots coming together recently to rally around them, it's a great feeling for them.
Yeah, 100 consecutive nights of this in Portland. For my audience to understand, we see the footage and we see these people out there, but you've been around them. Unfortunately, I'm sure you've also had to smell them. Just looking at my general observation, I could probably just deduce that it's not a great smelling or looking bunch of people. But can you tell me who you think these people are? Because some of them look like they're just little brats who have nothing better to do. They don't have jobs. They can do this all day long. Perhaps they're being paid to do it. We don't know. So that seems like that's a large segment. And then maybe there are other folks in there who are more well-trained, more organized. Give me a sense of the breakdown of these people that are out there night after night, day after day. Who are they? Who would you deduce that these people are just looking at the bunch?
Well, I could say there's not a hell of a lot of diversity in the group in terms of race. It's a bunch of self-hating white people for some reason that are just out there whining. And a lot of them are just emotionally damaged teenagers as well that don't actually know what they're fighting for. They're just basically out there spewing talking points that were given to them. And they're people that, I'm trying to say this as nicely as possible.
You don't have to say it nicely. Yeah, you don't have to, Nick. You can say it just how it is.
Yeah, they are people that just don't fit in anywhere else. It's a bunch of misfits that need a group, right? And this has become like a social event for them, coming out and burning things in the street and assaulting police officers and stuff, because most of the time nothing is done about it. So it's a big social festival for a lot of them. But this is these emotionally damaged teenagers. I mean, probably half of them, literally like half of them are trans out here, which is wild. The one that pushed me into a hole was trans, of course. And these emotionally damaged teenagers taken advantage by Antifa, but it's not just them. It's also like insane homeless people that they take advantage of, and they cart them in to these riots to cause problems. Like, I don't know if you saw the video of me taking the flag away from somebody that was burning it in the street. I still have it, by the way. He has done this twice now, and both times I've taken the flag from him. So now I have two flags. And he is a homeless man that is insane. The police know his entire background, and there's one patriotic cop from Portland police that has been feeding me information, which is very nice. Because he's fed up with how everything is going in the city, as well as with the department, that says that the police have reason to believe that he is actually being paid to do this, because they know that the DA will not prosecute him because he is mentally ill. So they use him to physically attack people, to commit, blatant crimes in the middle of the street, because they know that he won't be prosecuted for it. I mean, it's really sickening to think that they're taking advantage of people like this.
Yeah, making mercenaries out of homeless, unwell people. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Basically, you described as what I thought it was. It's a bunch of people who have nothing better to do. They have nowhere else to belong. They are misfits. A lot of the reason that these people identify as trans, I would suspect it's because they're misfits. They need somewhere to belong. So the easiest way to be a protected and hailed class, especially in blue city hellholes, is to say you were trans or you were queer or you were for the immigrants, all this stuff. I don't know about you, but when I hear it's a bunch of basically young white weirdos out there supposedly fighting against ICE for the immigrant community. If I was an actual immigrant, not an illegal immigrant, but if I was an immigrant American in Portland or anywhere else, and I saw a bunch of misfit white people who use this as their social hour, I would be offended by that. Like, who are you to say that you are defending the immigrant community out there causing problems, anarchy, violence, burning the American flag? That's not protecting immigrants. that might be in your mind protecting illegal alien criminals, which is bad in itself. But I think a lot of this is to your point. It's a lot of losers who have nothing better to do. They weren't hugged as children, and this is where we end up. But I want to go back to your point about the police officers, because I think a similar thing is happening in Chicago. I think that you've got officers out there, because I spend a lot of time with the law enforcement community, and I think a lot of these police officers, they want to help. They don't appreciate these freaks. They know that as much as they're protesting against ICE, they also hate law enforcement just in general. These same people that are out there, these freaks were out there in 2020 for George Floyd, all right? Same people. So I would assume that most of those police officers want to do more. I would assume that there's somebody higher up in the chain who is a leftist freak who's telling them to stand down. Have you heard rumblings of anything like that in Portland?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've told me that at this point, that they basically, the Portland police don't do anything unless they're given the order to do so. That's why we're concerned about my arrest, because we want to know who gave that order, because the police, the arresting officers, had literally no idea what I was being arrested for. The sergeant came up, he got a call on the radio, I guess. He rode his bike up because I was standing with all the cops. I was standing with like 12 of them, just, talking and joking with them. Because, one of the jokes that I made was I thought it was funny because one of the rioters ran up to the cops and said, "Yeah, that person stole my phone. Go get them." Like they want the cops when it benefits them, but no other time. And so I was joking with the cops about that. And so they were like, when the sergeant pointed at me and said, "Cuff him," they're like, "That guy? Cuff him?" They had no idea why they were doing it. So, they're getting, the orders are being barked at these people from the top, and we need to know who and why they're doing it.
Absolutely. Well, same thing in Chicago. Of course, they're insisting that they didn't give a stand down order. That's their official statement, though I don't think they explicitly say that they didn't give a stand down order. They're saying like, blah, 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 a bunch of fluffy crap in the statements that they've given. But we have the dispatch calls. And I think a very similar thing is probably happening in Portland. We don't have the actual audio in Portland, but we do have it out of Chicago. I want to play that for folks that have not heard it yet. Seems pretty black and white to me. Let's take a listen.
All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Place in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Place in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Okay, 10-4. And again, for all the units that we called to go over that way, 39th Place in Kedzie, if you could just hold off 911, 913, 923, 924, 933, 934. Just disregard that 39th Place in Kedzie.
So it's hard to escape the conclusion that there are some folks in these deep blue cities who are leading them that want federal agents dead. I think that there's no other way to escape that conclusion. If you're saying don't help these people, if you're actively not only calling them every name in the book, Nazi, Gestapo, jackbooted thugs, if you're calling them all of these things, and then you're refusing to help them, I don't know what other conclusion people can form from that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's the same thing that's happening out here. I mean, you can see the federal agents that were assaulted back, before a bunch of federal assets were surged into here. The officers that would walk out of the agents that would walk out of the ICE facility would be routinely attacked in front of police officers, and the police officers wouldn't do anything about it. It's like, I know they've got to be being told to stand down. And that's part of the discovery that we demanded before my charges were dropped, is we wanted records pertaining to that. We wanted records pertaining to their coordination with Antifa, because we know it's happening. We demanded that. We had the perfect opportunity to do that. And then they're like, well, never mind. Okay, case dismissed. They don't want that stuff to come out. They don't want that stuff to come out. So, if we file a federal civil rights lawsuit, which, may or may not be coming, I think we can still get that information. And
Definitely
that's the next step here, is to force them to, everything needs to be exposed, or else this is going to continue. The people of Portland are victims in this situation. You talk to anybody that lives in the area of this ICE facility in particular, they are distraught. They won't talk about it usually on camera because they're afraid. They're afraid that when they walk out of their apartment, they're going to be slashed or jumped or whatever. And they can't just move because they're stuck in leases. This stuff is happening at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're screaming with megaphones, shooting fireworks off, playing really, really loud music, with no regard at all for the innocent civilians around there. So you're like, who are these people actually fighting for? If they're saying they're fighting while they're, ruining the lives of all the residents, thousands of people that live right there in the area. And it's actually heated up a lot this week where people have been, because they were blocking all the roads to all the businesses as well and the homes. So nobody could drive into the homes. You were only allowed to drive through if you were Antifa because the Portland police relegated traffic control to Antifa thugs and allowed them to control access. So the residents weren't allowed in, and they got out of their cars, started screaming. It's like, you people have been doing this for 100+ days. Get out of here. Get off of my street. It's going to come to a head at some point. And honestly, I think that all the national media attention this place has been getting over the past week, I think it's going to come to a head sooner than later.
Yeah, also, who would want to go to Portland right now if you're not actively covering it, you're not actively a part of everything going on? Who would want to go there just for fun? I certainly would not. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't want to go there for fun anyway because it's littered with needles and feces and homeless people. I've been there. I've seen it. But now that this is just exacerbating that problem because now you've got Antifa, Trantifa weirdos out there causing chaos, anarchy, and violence. So it's just a disgusting place to be. I think it's no wonder that people are fleeing these blue city hellholes. I want to talk to you as well about some other news of the day. We know that federal agents are under attack. We know that assaults on those agents, over 1,000% increase in that. But then you've got, the other side of it, which I would guess I would call maybe like the coat and tie resistance, right? We've got prominent Democrats, like somebody running to be the top cop in Virginia, Jay Jones. We've got this text exchange, which is just deplorable and despicable, fantasizing about killing a political opponent. And to me, this goes hand in hand with what you're seeing in Portland, what we're seeing in Chicago, what we saw with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the 2 attempts on President Trump, the attempt on Justice Kavanaugh's life. I mean, this is just rolling and rolling and rolling. And I'm wondering if you think, like I think, that it's just shocking that no prominent Democrat leaders are telling this guy, you need to drop out. Like, it's almost like they're rubber stamping it at this point.
Well, hell, the Democrat Party came out and said that, no, we're sticking with him. I mean, like, there's no, that's pretty much an endorsement of this behavior, right? If you can't tell, I mean, this is egregious stuff. Like, think if this would have happened 10 years ago. I can't even imagine that anybody would be able to come out and say that they're still going to continue backing this person. It's absolutely wild, especially when you're talking about the top cop in Virginia. But that's where the Democrat Party is at this point. It's not surprising. You don't hear them condemning the violence on ICE officials or law enforcement officers or anything like that. So, it's like we kind of know that most of them are, they can justify this easily. It's like they were justifying the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We know where they stand on the issue at this point. They're not really hiding it. I'm just hoping the American people, especially reasonable Americans that are even on the left, see this and rebuke the modern day Democrat Party because of it.
I mean, they have to. There are so many just everyday Democrats across this country that find all of this to be utterly ridiculous. And when they take these polls and they say Democrats oppose, immigration enforcement, yeah, the Democrats that are left. But I think a lot of, good-hearted, good-sense people that once considered themselves to be Democrats, I think that they either consider themselves to be independent or Republicans at this point, because I don't know who would want to be associated with this. And, there's crazies on every side. You've got bad actors on both sides. But when the Democrat Party, when you don't have your main Democrats out there saying this is too far, this is a bridge too far, we got a distance, then you know that something is deeply and disturbingly wrong here. I'd love to also point out that when Jay Jones issued his apology, his follow-up to his apology, he basically said, yeah, sorry I did that. Nobody wants their text messages revealed, but we got to fight against Trump. It's like, that's your apology? It's not an apology. I also want to go to some pop culture stuff here. You've got Zach Bryan. Some people love him. I've never liked him. I think his songs are depressing and boring just to begin with. But now they call him a country music star. Yeah, country music, we don't own this. But now he's coming out with his song about he doesn't recognize the USA and it's anti-ICE, immigrants are not illegal and all of this stuff. I just think, again, don't call him country music, but these stars that come out, do you think that they would spend time in these communities where they have the criminal illegal aliens? Do you think they'd welcome them into their homes? I'm a little skeptical, Nick.
Yeah, I don't even know where this came. It came out of left field here. I don't think this guy understands exactly who his audience is for some reason. And it's almost like he's being forced into doing it. I don't know if the label was
No,
making
he
him
is
do it, but
actually a loser. No, like
is
confirmed.
he really?
No, he actually is like a loser. It's not him being like, I should
stop
say something.
making stupid people famous. Why do we do this?
Yeah. It's and there are so many artists like this, but the country music audience is not going to take kindly to this, I don't think. And he kind of considers himself to be like indie country music or whatever. Again, I've always thought he was a loser, but here you go. I just feel like the other side has just fallen off the cliff so far, and I don't know if they can ever claw their way back. But I don't know about you. We're not even a year out from their absolute devastating election loss last November. And there was a moment there where I thought that the Democrats were really going to get it, that they realized that they effed up on immigration, they effed up on the whole democracy under attack thing, and that maybe that they were going to try to moderate themselves a little bit, but they've gone full in the other direction.
Oh, they've tripled down.
Yeah. What are you seeing out there? I mean, you're out there interacting. You're with these far leftists in these really blue cities. Do they really believe this stuff? I'm not talking about Trantifa and the weirdos. I'm talking about like just the Democrats that live in these blue hellholes. Like, are they buying all this stuff? Are they bought in to this narrative?
I think you have the far leftists that are, of course, they're fully in on this stuff, and they actually want to continue shifting the window further left. I mean, but they're leaving a lot of people behind by doing that. Regular like blue dog Democrats, just working class Democrats are not on board with this BS. And it's funny. Like I'll just give you an example. Like the people that I was talking to in one of the buildings over here. That's like, he's like, I voted Democrat, but I didn't vote for this, so it's like they're going to lose all these people. And a lot of these, especially if they keep letting residents get terrorized. I mean, why are you going to continue to vote for your own suffering? It seems really weird. And so I think they're going to end up losing a lot of these people, hopefully by the midterms. I'm hoping we actually make a gain. And the talking heads on TV, especially on the left, are not representative of the American people or even of the most like regular Democrats. And I struggle to even call them Democrats at this point, because the Democrat Party itself has gone so far left that it's left a lot of these people who are registered Democrat behind, if that makes sense. So, I don't think they're going to make too many gains in the midterms next year, which is, obviously, as you know, typically in a midterm election, you would, the opposing party from the president typically does make significant gains, usually even retakes control of Congress. I'm just not sure that's going to happen this time.
We are so excited to announce the return of the most patriotic award show on TV. The Fox Nation Patriot Awards is back and better than ever, hosted by our very own Sean Hannity. Thursday, November 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern, live from the Tilly Center in New York. Tickets are on sale now at foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. We had a record-setting show last year, but this year is even bigger with surprise guests, amazing new awards, and even a special honor for the life and legacy of our friend, Charlie Kirk. You won't want to miss it. Get your tickets now at foxnation.com/Patriot Awards, and we hope to see you there. All right, folks, before I jump to final thoughts, I do want to play a clip. It actually goes hand in hand with something I'm going to be addressing in those final thoughts. But in case you haven't seen it, I want you, for the folks at home who are confused about what racism is, because that word gets thrown around so much, right? Racist, sexist, misogynist, deplorable, basket of all of us, all this. Okay, I want you to take a listen to, I guess, at least in my book, what true beyond the pale racism looks like and sounds like. lo and behold, here we go, the ladies of The View.
She's threatening to go to the Super Bowl when Bad Bunny is there and round up all these people that are illegal immigrants. Do you think that she would go if it was Garth Brooks or Eminem or Taylor Swift or any other white person?
Let me understand what you're saying, because she's going to go to the Super Bowl and round up. How's she going to know who's who?
Because the Supreme Court has given permission to question anyone who has a Spanish accent, who has a dark skin.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everybody, get a little cocoa butter, sit in the sun. That's the first thing. and this is the only time you can probably ever do this, give yourself a Latin accent.
So what Whoopi just said there is that you should practice blackface and then you should speak with a Spanish accent so that Kristi Noem and DHS can't tell if you are an American or an illegal alien. That's where we are, folks. And yet they want to call the Republicans, the conservatives, the racists. Well, you know, I've heard a lot of stuff from the ladies of The View, but at least for this week, that one might take the cake. Another word to Whoopi and Joy, and I'm going to address this again in just a moment. But DHS, yeah, they're always going to be at the Super Bowl because they're the agency and the part of government that is tasked with securing it. So if Garth Brooks or Taylor Swift were performing, they would also be there securing it. But far be it from me to just let those little facts disrupt their shrieking parade. Now we're going to go into a related talking point here. Last week, I invited Lib Crystal Ball on my show, and a comment I made about Mr. Bad Bunny has gone viral. So I'm going to address that next. So last week, I invited Crystal Ball on my show for Liberal Tuesday. We got into a little chat about Puerto Rican rapper Bad Bunny doing the Super Bowl halftime show. Now, Crystal said he's an American artist, and I disagreed. So let me clarify this once and for all. I am well aware that Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. Puerto Ricans are remarkable people with a rich heritage and a deep pride in their cultural identity, and rightfully so. That said, do I personally consider Bad Bunny to be an American artist? No. And based on his public statements and demeanor, I don't get the impression he views himself that way either. A part of that perception likely stems from his decision not to perform in the United States, citing opposition to our duly elected president's stance on our national sovereignty and immigration enforcement. But moreover, Mr. Bunny has gone beyond political disagreement by openly disparaging ICE agents with vulgar language, calling them sons of and mother effers. That talk is especially egregious given the sharp and disgusting rise over 1,000% in assaults on these agents who risk their lives daily to uphold our laws. But that said, I am genuinely glad to hear that Bad Bunny identifies as a proud American. I sincerely hope that in time, he will also come to have a little frickin' respect for our nation's immigration laws, our borders, and the dedicated men and women in federal law enforcement who work tirelessly to protect this country, a country that he calls his own. And I'll add, Mr. Bunny might not be aware of this, but it is DHS and our brave federal agents who are tasked with securing the Super Bowl and thus securing his ungrateful as he performs. P.S. I, like millions of other Americans, won't be learning Spanish in order to enjoy the Super Bowl halftime show. In fact, we won't be watching it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And those are my final thoughts. Catch full episodes of this show on Outkick and Fox Nation at your leisure. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. From Nashville, God bless and take care. Hey, thanks for watching. For more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click right here. And don't forget to subscribe. Just click right here so you never miss a beat. I will be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.